My name is Andrea Belita. I grew up in a bunkhouse we made in Idaho. No electricity, no separated rooms, and no privacy. We were preppers, hoarder style. An herbalist mother and a religiously extreme and dominating father, abuse was prevalent. Most names have been changed to protect the innocent living, and I will add commentary to give further context when needed. As a songwriter, I love documenting my life, and that includes journal writing. I have been journal writing my entire life, even when I was a baby. No, I'm just kidding. Songwriting and journaling are how I got through life. And I just want to say one more thing. If I die tomorrow, I want people to know about my life. I don't know why, I just do. I always have. And this episode was recorded 3 years ago, but I didn't actually put it out until today, Saturday, August 2nd. Congratulations me for doing that. And I think one of the things that is so amazing to me about my life is that despite all that I've been through, I have tried to find ways to actually make it the absolute best, most amazing existence possible. And not because I needed to prove anything to anyone, but because this experience on Earth is lit. Like, it's so incredible. And it isn't always, which is obviously why I really want to share, because there is so much in life. I just want you and me and everyone to feel seen here. And I'm going to take you through all the emotions, because that's what life is. That's what being human is. And if you're here for a long time, awesome. If you're here for a good time, that's fine. You know what? Whatever suits you is best, but I'm going to be going through a lot of journals, okay? So we're not going to be here for like 10 episodes. We're here for like the next 10 years, okay? So buckle up. And one last thing. I'm going to be going in chronological order, so you're going to have to go back to the way beginning if you want to know what happened a long time ago, because I'm not going to be updating you on every single episode. I don't think. This is the first one, so I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out as we go. Let's get reading.
Risk it all, give all I've got. Stop hiding and set myself free. Be who I was born to be.
This is my earliest. You're going to kind of find that I will give some commentary as I go, and I'm just like gonna be reading this for the first time with you. So whatever I say along the way is just commentary that I feel like I need to put in there. So Wednesday, March 21st, 1990. Okay, just to give a little bit of context, this is when we were living in Twin Falls, Idaho, on a little place called 2nd Avenue West. And it was a tiny little house, like 1,200 square feet. It's actually, my husband and kids and I drove past it this past summer, and it was bizarre. I don't know who's living there now, but it was pretty creepy. I'm like, wow, maybe all the people that live in that house are just a little bit off. But we loved living there. When we were there, it felt idyllic as a child, at least in the fact that like my dad had built a little log pole fence around the yard, and we would walk on that fence and practice our balance, and it was so fun. And we were right on a really big street, so like a 4-lane highway, and it was so fun because we would take our arms and like put our fist in the air and like pull it down like we were pulling on a diesel truck horn, and we would try to get we'd go outside and for entertainment just try to get the diesel drivers, the big truck drivers to honk their horn at us, and they did. It was so fun. And we would have all the neighbor kids over at our house playing kickball in the front yard. Now I look back and I'm like, it was a tiny yard, but we didn't care. It was big for us. I mean, we were just little kids. And my dad also built a swing set in the back for us, and it had like those little like gymnastic bars, and it had a little swinging bar on it, and we had spare tires because my dad was a bit of a hoarder, and so I say a bit, it got worse later, but there's only so much room for your things when you are living in a 1,200 square foot house, and you've got a yard and a garage, but we had so much fun with the spare things that were lying around, like the big, I don't know, tractor tires, it seemed like, or maybe they weren't tractor tires when we were kids, they seemed big, but we would make obstacle courses out of them, and we had a good time. We had a really good time there, and it was a kind of sketchy side of town, but we would ride our bikes everywhere. Like, I was 6 when I learned to ride my little yellow banana seat bike, and me and my older siblings would go riding all over the place, and we'd go dumpster diving. And we would go dumpster diving. We didn't call it dumpster diving back then. That's a term I heard when I got older. But my sister she was like the captain. She would take us to like the IGA dumpster, and we'd go find all kinds of things like unopened Cheetos. This is back in 1990. So things were like less regulated back then. But we got all kinds of brand new food, and we'd bring it home. We were so stoked. It was just fun. And we also had this little cat, not little, but this cat that came around, and we adopted it, and it was a long-haired black cat, and we called it Midnight. And I had a good time. I had a good time as a child. I have lots and lots and lots of good memories. All right, and just to take a tiny little detour, I recently had a friend whose mother I adore and absolutely look up to in so many ways. And she just told me, this friend of mine just told me that her mother's journals that she had been keeping for decades, that she had written about when she was raising her kids and all these different things throughout her life, they just got trashed by this person that they hired to clean out their big office. And she's so devastated. And I thought, wow, like her journals, I would have loved to listen to a podcast of her journals. Wow, because she's just somebody I completely admire and have since I was a teenager. So if my house goes up in smoke, these journals are going to be in the cloud. They're going to be on the internet. They're going to be out there. And even if nobody is here but me, and I'm the only one just reading these to myself, I'm okay with that. I'm just going to be here telling the story of my life on this podcast. All right, first journal entry, the first one I ever wrote. Okay, and just a little bit of a tiny bit more background on this particular journal entry. It says it's Wednesday, March 21st, 1990, but then I said in it that I went to kindergarten, and then I went fishing, and then I went to church. So I don't know how I did all those on a Wednesday, but either way, here we go. I love this cute little journal entry. I went to kindergarten in the morning. I went fishing with Daddy and Brett and Sean. In the afternoon, today at church, we learned about a little boy, and Fred found someone's purse, and he found something else. It was a book. But he didn't know what kind of book it was. So we looked on the front of it, and it said, The Book of Mormon. The end. Now, I have a hard time believing that this was my handwriting because I was in kindergarten, and I just struggle thinking that that's actually my handwriting. But I don't know whose else it would be. And it's in first person, so I don't know. Okay, so that was one journal. That was 1990, and I actually need to go through here and find the next one because I kind of skipped around in my journals. I think it was I just would open it up wherever I had space. Sunday, the 10th of January, 1993, age 9. I was in Beverly Franson's class, and I still am. She gave me this notebook for my journal. Beverly has a daughter named Charlotte. We babysat her because Beverly had to go to the work. I like my new friend. We picked her and our mom up today because her car wouldn't start. Her mom is nice because she teaches us about being valiant. I just want to tell you about church today. We learned a new song that I can't remember what it is, but my singing teacher cries sometimes when we sing it, so it must be really good. I know I've heard it before, but I don't remember the way it goes. I'll get the idea after we sing it 5 times. We are learning about temples in Sunday school, opening exercises. I'll tell you one thing about temples, or a couple. The temple is sacred, and when you get older, sometimes you get these things called garments. Don't ever throw garments around, because Jesus will get sad and angry. I will pray day and night always, and I will read my scriptures. Now I will tell you about what I'm hearing in sacrament meeting. If you just listen to this, you know when you get a jelly bean and you don't like it because of its flavor? If you just like people that are smart and pretty, if you don't like somebody who is dirty and does not go to church, I'll give you an easy answer. You can ask people who do not go to church, ask them to go to church with you so they can get to be baptized, not just go to church. Take them to church with you and let them get the feeling to get baptized. That's the easy way, okay? And I'm happy about my sister because she got the friendship basket. It's a kind of basket, and I'm glad for my brother that he gets to pass the sacrament. I hope that Daddy's boss in Sun Valley, I hope that he understands that Dad needs to have a lot of days. And then I crossed it out and decided not to write about that part. I don't know why. If I didn't think I was supposed to say or think a certain thing, then I would just cross it out. Okay, so moving on. Monday, January 1993, age 9. Today I went to school and I'm in 3rd grade. I learned all of my letters in cursive. Today I called my friend Heather. Oh gosh, you started all about this. Oh, I crossed it out again. Dang it. Heather is in my class at school, and she's my best friend, and I told her that she is my best friend. I think Heather is 9 years old. Saturday, January 16th, 1993. Today, I woke up and said my prayer and read my scriptures. We babysit some kids named Carly and Ashley, Danica and Solis, Josh, Loon, and Devin. We used to babysit Heidi, Ryan, and Sasha and Dee Dee. And I went outside and played in the snow. Oh, it was so fun. I have $6 in my piggy bank. My dad, my big brother are building a house at the ranch. So I was 9 years old. They were building a house at the ranch. That is what will be known as the bunkhouse. Monday the 16th, 1993. Today I went to the library and played at the park. I think during this time we were living with my grandparents. Today is Thursday, May 1993. May 19th. Today I went to school and played on the merry-go-round. Oh no, this is my old school. So I went to Lincoln Elementary, and then I think the next school year we moved in with my grandparents, and that's when I went to Sawtooth Elementary in Twin Falls. Today I went to school and played on the merry-go-round with Leah. She is my best friend. I can do 68 times 72, which I wrote is 496, which is actually not true. That's not true. It's not 496. We learned that maybe about 5 to 6 days ago. I got a Jolly Rancher for doing math. My teacher is Mrs. Peterson. I got 3 stickers today for finding the ER words. They are smelly stickers. We are making fossils in science, and it might be for Father's Day. Okay, so I later went through and redid the math problem, and it's 4896. So just for all you people that thought that maybe I didn't get my math concepts down. Today is Monday, August 27th, 1993. I was chosen to go into the new classroom, which is the trailer, and my teacher's name is Mrs. Garrett, and she's nice. So this is at my new school. All right, I'm 10 and in 4th grade at Sawtooth Elementary School is what. I was pretty good at documenting things, making sure everybody knew. Sunday, January 30th, 1994. Today, my Mary Miss A teacher invited Karen, Amber, Rachel, and I to have lunch and dinner, and Karen, Amber, Rachel, and I are her Mary Miss class. We are going to watch animated stories from the Book of Mormon and play games and stuff like that. About 7 or 9 months ago, we were at regional conference. Apostle Maxwell and I got to shake an apostle's hand, and that was a very, very wonderful day. I was very blessed. And I made a card for my Mary Miss A teacher. Her name is Sister Aslet. She is nice, and she is a very good person. Our class is planning a daddy-daughter day. We moved here to my grandma's house about a month ago, and I go to a school named Sawtooth. We used to go to a school named Lincoln Elementary. Oh, I guess I didn't need to make commentary on that because I was about ready to tell you. I like Sawtooth. My family and I used to go to the 10th ward, but now we go to the 5th ward. Ward is it's what we call a congregation in Mormonism. Even though this house is a little crowded, it's still fun. I've decided to write in my journal very, very often, every week or every other day. Saturday, January 29th, 1994. The night before Saturday, I asked my dad if I could go with him to Sun Valley, and he said yes. So I got everything I needed. Then I got up at about 4:30 a.m. I got dressed, and we went to Shopko to get on the Sun Valley Stages bus. And it was not comfortable at all, but I'm thankful Dad could let me come along. Okay, so my dad used to work in Sun Valley as a ski bus driver in Sun Valley, Idaho, and he used to get up every single morning early to go. And this was probably the best paying job that he ever had. But I missed him, because he would get up early to go, and I loved going with him. And I didn't get to go very often, but when I did, it was just fun. Like, I would ride on the ski bus in the front seat with him while he drove around all day. And, I'm really grateful that he did that. I have some good memories of my dad. I also have some not so good memories of my dad. But, I really loved going to work with him. I remember I would ride on the front seat of the bus, and then people who were getting on the bus would talk to me. And I would talk to them, and they were very friendly and very friendly to my dad. And yeah, I just remember really enjoying that. And then we would go up to the lodge, and there was some lodge, ski bus driver lodge or something we would go to eat lunch. And those were, I appreciate the sacrifices that he made to provide for our family. So my mom could stay home with us, which she wanted to do. And it's just really interesting as I kind of look back on all of that. But I met a lot of really, really nice people there who were up skiing. And it never occurred to me then, that we weren't the ones skiing, that the skiing was for the people who had money, and we didn't. And I was just lucky I got to be up there with my dad on his ski bus, and I thought my dad was so cool for being able to for driving the ski bus. And I thought that he was such a good driver because he would drive all in the snow, and he would drive all day and take people on the mountain with the bus. And those were good times that I got to go with him. But do you see how I actually would go back and forth with my color to be creative? Wednesday, February 2nd, 1994. Today was a good day for me. I got my report card, and I got BBA, BBBB. I wasn't so happy, but it was better than worse grades. Actually, that's surprising because I usually got A's. I remember getting all A's in elementary school, so I must have blocked out that I got mostly B's that time. And after school, my grandma and Grandpa Heller came over, and she said that she would make me a necklace. I had a great day at school. Michelle, my new almost best friend, played with Stephanie and Melissa, and I had a fun day. And I played hangman. And while we were playing, some of the time we had and then I stopped. I made friends with, so my grandparents lived on the nice part of town in Twin Falls, and we lived in the ghetto side of town, if there was a ghetto. I don't know if it's really ghetto or not, but it was on the rough side of town. And we had lived in a 1,200 square foot house. There were, how many of us? So 4 of us young kids, and then at some point or other, like all 3 of my older siblings lived in there with us. And so we had my 3 older siblings, the 4 of us, and then my parents. So 9 of us living in a 1,200 square foot house. But I don't remember thinking that we were cramped or anything. I was just a little kid, and we, and I just played. I just played or watched my favorite cartoons. And I didn't like the cockroaches in our house. But other than that, I don't remember anything bad about it. I just remember liking where we lived, and we did lots of fun things. So at our house in Twin Falls, my dad had built a swing set for us, and he was a good welder, so he built a swing set for us. And then he also built like a 3-tiered pole fence around our front yard, and that was so much fun because we would just walk along that fence. And one time a newspaper came by and wanted to take pictures of us walking on our fence, because that's what we were doing for fun. And so my brother got put in the newspaper for walking along the fence around our front yard. But we would spend, I don't know, I mean, it seemed like hours when you're a kid, but we would spend a lot of time walking along the top of the fence trying to balance and see who could balance the furthest for the longest amount of time. And it was a blast. And all the neighbor kids would come to our house, and we would play kickball, or what did we call it? Kick base? Oh, we called it base soccer. That's right. Where we would run from base to base. I mean, I'm glad my dad built the fence. I'm sure he built the fence there because it wasn't safe, being that there was it was like 4 or 5 lanes right there on 2nd Avenue West in Twin Falls. But we had a blast, and we actually, now that I think about it, we had a gutter right there along that street, and my brothers and I would take like a cigarette bed that we would find, and we would when it would rain, we would play boats with the cigarette butts or sticks along that gutter on that very busy street. And I think about it now, and I'm like, that's not safe at all. But we didn't. We just played. Like, we just knew not to go in the street, I guess. And yeah, another couple of good memories of that property is we had blackberry bushes. We had yellow raspberries and red raspberries and rhubarb. And my dad would go get firewood, and we would go and chop it for the widows. We would do that extra. He would give the widows a discount and on the wood, and then we would chop it for them. And that was where my dad started doing some logging. It was when we lived in Twin Falls. And that became a very big part of my life, was that logging aspect. And I'm sure I'll have stories about that in my journals. But living in Twin Falls, I know my parents really didn't want to. They didn't want to live there, so they had property in Buell, Idaho, 10 acres that my dad had been paying on and had been paying for. And they finally decided that we were going to build a house out there, but we didn't have much money. I mean, I think my dad made I don't know actually how much he made, but I think he made a decent amount of money doing the ski bus, at least a decent amount for us. But he he would buy vehicles with it. I don't know. He started to get a little bit of an obsession where he wanted to buy lots of vehicles. Yeah. Okay. So there's a little bit of background. And so when we moved to my grandma's house, she lived on the nice side of town. The friend that I made, like my really good friend, her dad owned a car dealership, and she lived in like the fanciest part of town. And I had just never been to such a fancy house until I went to her house. Her name was Stephanie. One thing I remember from her was that she had dangly clip-on earrings. Maybe that's what it was. And I wanted so desperately to get my ears pierced, but my dad wouldn't let me. So in my journal, I had this thing called my 3 white dresses, and it's like your baby blessing dress, and then your baptism dress, and then your wedding dress sort of idea. Wednesday, February 2nd, 1994. My sister, Cynthia, and my mom went to a young women thing for church, and there were extras. So my mother got me one, and I wanted to put this in my journal. So I did that. So I guess we'll just stop right there this time. I'm still learning exactly how I'm going to run this channel, but please subscribe. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the first few entries, and if you're interested in knowing how this story continues to go, because it gets juicy, then please come back. For now, let's plan on a weekly episode, and we'll kind of go from there. Thanks for joining me for my 6-year-old self and my 10-year-old self. And I'm 41 now, so we got a lot of selves to go. If you know of anybody that you think might like to follow along on this story of my life, send it to them. Send them this podcast. Write a review. Every little bit helps to get the word out. And if not, then I'll just be reading my journals over here by myself and having myself a grand old time. Till next time. Bye-bye. I'd like to take a minute to thank those who contributed to this show. Namely my entire family who helped make up my entire life story, myself for writing the songs, myself for producing the songs. This particular song was mixed by Isaac at Voxa Studios in Alamo, California. This song is called Rising, and this is the instrumental version of it. It is anywhere you stream music, Spotify, Amazon, Apple, wherever you are, under Andrea Belita. And earlier in the episode was a song called Dreamer. I will have both of those in the show notes. I produced, mixed, and mastered this episode, and okay, enough. Basically, I did the show myself. All right, bye.